you, Officer Whittle. We'll take a moment to welcome you all here tonight. We have a lot of our community here with us, and we have a lot of young people downstairs, and we're going to get our meeting started, and then we'll recess and go down and listen to these young people who are very accomplished. So if we may, Commissioner Crawford, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Well, for prayer, please. Almighty God, it is with gracious hearts that we come before your throne to give you thanks for all of the grace and mercy and love that you've bestowed upon us. Father, we thank you for the good health you've provided for us. We know there's some of our midst here tonight that are unable to be with us due to health issues. And God, we just pray a special touch upon them, not only here within our ranks of the commission, but all across this county and within our families. We pray a touch from you. Bless this time that we have together as we go forward. May the decisions we make be for the betterment of our community, that Sullivan County would be the best place to live, play, and do business. All of this I pray in the mighty name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Crawford. Officer Whittle, would you lead us in prayer?
Face the flag, salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated for just a second. As I mentioned, we have downstairs the South Sullivan East High School Patriot Regiment. It's quite a accomplished bunch of young people. And what we wanted to do was recognize them here tonight, and I would invite the commissioners and any in our audience who can to join us. The band will be in the street, and I will read the proclamation, and then they would like to play for you. And we won't be there long, so if you're able to join us downstairs, please do. If not, just keep the doors open, and I'm sure you'll be able to enjoy the renditions that they will share with us tonight. So before we take roll call, commissioners, we've got a few people that are going to be late. Before we take roll call, if you will, join me downstairs to recognize this outstanding group of young people.
Where you been? I ain't seen you at church. I was going to help somebody.
Well, she's about this high, so you missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. There might be things here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it happens. Well, see, that's just like us. We have jury trials. You know, if they're delivering. I'll play on my phone. No, go ahead. I got
He's got this piece of property beside him, a farmhouse. Spectrum's on the way his property. But they don't come to him unless they move in.
Well, and I know other situations similar, like my parents, you don't want to live on Murray County. Okay, you go past one, there's a log house on the right, that's where my mom and dad live. Midwest today on Bluedale. You go about 2 miles, you go past the old Ramsey farmhouse. Yeah, you go on top, yeah, you get it marked. If you go to that church, that's got only. You do too. So how do you pay?
No, they'll come up there if I'll pay $9.
That's right, that's exactly, same thing on Ole.
If he'll pay $3 to his, and then the guy across the road, they'll pay $3 or $4. So he's just that well.
Let's come back from this. There's some money coming just for internet. You know that?
We got it.
Yeah.
He's on Publix.
Yeah, high speed internet, where's some infrastructure stuff, but internet's big. What's going on, bud? Doing good. Yeah, we were talking about that in Memphis last week. So the governor's pushing that. I forget how many million it is.
Our county are split up.
It'll be split up, but what they're doing, and this is where it's gonna get kind of crazy on the infrastructure stuff. And this is where it's gonna be pushed for what's going on. Everything comes through the county. So any city wants have to come to the county, and all the entities have to agree before the money is released. So that's gonna be a push pull out. And then a lot of the money's matching that. Like, I think if memory serves me correctly, our party matches 30%. So in other words, if we get 10 million, we're gonna come up. Yeah, that's good. I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right. I could look it up, but matter of fact, I may have it on my phone under the pictures I took. Because I took pictures of the screenshots while they I'm not smart enough for me. But a picture don't lie, you know, you think,
Hey, this is what y'all have on.
that's right, that's not lie though. Well, me and my wife and we left and went to New Orleans after that, man. That was great, man. I would recommend staying up there. If we stay there a couple days, it's good to see. Almost pretty good.
I went down there to where I work. I had to go down there and take some classes. And I had to go out there to slide in.
Oh,
So
okay.
I stayed in New Orleans. Matter of fact, I stayed on right off the, well, I stayed on the next.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm walking up and down Canal Street, all these kids going up and down through there, up and down, Bourbon Street, and all that stuff. And a guy comes up and he's like, hey man, you know the Pendleton we were playing.
Oh, the hockey team?
The basketball.
Basketball team, okay.
He said we're playing the Clippers. And I thought, shit, I'll go back and see what's his name, Blake Griffin at the time. And I said, well, I'll go back and see him. So I walked down. The guy said, you know you're gonna walk back down there and go through there. It's dark. And I was like,
Here's that funding allocation formula.
TDEC has proposed using 20% of the 18, or 1 billion, excuse me, 1 billion of the non-competitive grants to split across the 95 counties by the base allocation, 2.105 million per county. The remaining 80% will be divided among the counties based on population. Close to mirror the allocation approach taken by the Washington. See the graph again. Here's Sullivan County. Sullivan County, right here. Transition, we've got 158,000 instead of 145,000. And base pay is 2.1 million. Allocation, that might be this week, it's 20 million.
So that's not.
It's different, right. So company about all that. However, we're close, we're all. To the exercise rate, I think I ain't voted.
That's the way I roll.
That's the way you roll, like.
The old cartoon kind of go through the crowd.
Great. Well, over.
Okay, still watching you, boys.
We'll invite the members back into the chamber, those that might be out in the hall. One of the most important things we have coming this way, and it's roll call. To record your presence, so. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll? When the board opens up, please record your attendance tonight. Everybody check on.
Hi, the result. It says you just can't see it.
Have a little technical difficulty, so we will have the clerk call the roll this day.
20 present, 4 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Harry, are you in the room?
Yes.
I will meet you in the well, please. We have proclamations, additional proclamations and recognitions at this point in our meeting, which is back to our regular agenda. And we're recognizing this fine group of young people that we've got lined up on the wall over here tonight are here for special recognition. And from East High School, they're the East Lady Patriots, the volleyball team from there. And I'm going to read a proclamation and tell you about some of their accomplishments. We're happy to have them with us tonight. We want to recognize outstanding performances by our young people and encourage them to bring along the next generation of winners. The Sullivan County Board of Commissioners Certificate of Accomplishment presented to the Sullivan East Lady Patriots volleyball team for the 2021 season. And at this time, I would like each of you, I think we have a microphone, if you'll just introduce yourself and pass it to your next teammate.
Senior Riley Nelson. Junior Jenna Hare. Senior Mia Hoback. Junior Madison Lunsford. Sophomore Carly Bradford. Freshman Kendall Hodge. Freshman Lacey Brewer. Senior Jenny Hillman. Senior Avery Johnson. Coach Brittany Scott. Coach Tracy Graydale.
Very good, thank you. We are recognizing these young people for outstanding performance and achievement for the 2021 season. They were the District 1 AA champions, the Region 1 AA champions, TSSAA Class AA sub-state champions, and the TSSAA Class A state tournament 5th place finishers in all the state of Tennessee. ladies and your coaches and managers, congratulations. We have a certificate for each of you to take home with you and look at in 20 years and say, what's that mean? But you have a great mix of seniors and freshmen, senior leadership and freshmen. So we're expecting great things out of you next year. So again, thank you for being here with us tonight. We always want us to recognize outstanding accomplishments in our community. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming up and sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
On our calendar, agenda tonight, we're fortunate to have with us tonight to report to us on the opioid lawsuit update. District Attorney General Parrish's office, and Judge Jim Goodwin. So General's office, you and Judge Goodwin are recognized in the well furnished an update on the opioid and the great work you all have done, quite honestly. So
Thank you very much.
you're recognized.
Y'all got a huge agenda tonight. I'll try to be very brief. It's hard for lawyers to do, you know. What I want you all know that the opioid lawsuit's been settled, the monies have been deposited in the cities and the counties. And so the next step, what I want to do is give you a broad view of what we would like to do with those monies, Judge Goodwin and I, along with Judge Street and Judge Rice and the other district attorney, two other district attorneys, with those monies. So tonight, we just want to make a pitch of what we'd like to do with those monies, which is basically hold on to the money. We're developing a plan. I'm going to give you a broad, general view of it, and Judge Goodwin's going to fill in the blanks and talk about drug court and about a facility that we think would be ideal for this regional plan. As you know, all the counties now, like I said, have received their monies. And now, what should we do with it to effectively address the opioid problem in Sullivan County and Upper East Tennessee? Well, we don't want to squander the money, and what we want to do is think out of the box, as they say. We want to do something we think is truly innovative. And our goal would be to take these monies along with nonprofits, grants, donations from companies, individuals, and we're formulating that plan. We'll tell you more about it. But the general plan would be, number one is to obtain the facility up in Carter County, the work camp, the prison that's been closed there. It has beds, it has hospital, it has beds, it has kitchen, it's got rooms, it's at a remote site, away from other communities, it's secure. It would be the ideal facility for us to have a long-term treatment facility. People that are addicted to opioids and fentanyl and heroin can be treated in a few days, even in a month. And most insurance coverages are not going to be enough. And many of the people we deal with are not going to be able to afford insurance. So what we hope to, through a screening process that Judge Goodwin has been basically perfecting for the last few years with his recovery court, would find the right kind of people to be, that would have the most, I guess, likelihood of success of coming out on the other end of this program sobriety, and treated and productive. And he's going to tell you what he's been doing and how he would apply it to even a bigger landscape. And what we would do is we would select these people, nonviolent offenders, typically probably younger offenders without extensive criminal records, who who are young enough to be turned around and can be the kind of citizens we want. Right now, what's working, what we're doing now is not working, just turning people around and in and out of the jail, in the prison, punished in the jail, or in the TDOC, coming back and committing crimes and going back again. So we want to break that cycle. And so what we hope, we would get these candidates, we would put them in this facility for as long as it took, somewhere talking about 12 months, maybe to 18 months. We would work on their sobriety, we would work on their mental health problems, we would teach them how to hold a job, how to get a job, and we would teach them vocations. And we've got people lined up that are willing to do that. So when they come out, they're sober, they know how to apply for a job, they know how to keep a job. And many of these people come from a culture where they don't understand how to work. They think, if they're criticized or somebody asks them to do a different task or on a different shift, they're supposed to quit. Well, we want to teach them that's not how you become successful. Then we find out what their talents and their aptitudes are. We fit that to who they are and what they can do, and then find them occupations. And when they get out, we find housing for them, we find mentors for them, and then we find them the jobs, and then we work with them through the court system to start paying their fines and costs off so they can keep their driver's license or get a driver's license. We try to set them up to pay their child support and hopefully, build a relationship with those children. And so hopefully, when it's all said and done, they would have a job, they would be paying their fines and costs off, they would be responsible adults, and we wouldn't see them in the criminal justice system. Now, we know not everybody's going to work for that, but we think there's a real shot at it. We could be a real flag, really a cutting edge, I should say, facility for the rest of the country, a model for other people, for other communities. And so that's what we plan, and we want to come back later with a more specific plan of who's going to be involved. I mean, we've talked to Frontier Health, we've talked to other agencies, we've talked to Families Free. There's a lot of groups out here that are doing really innovative work, and they want to plug into it over the long term. And we think we can do that. But tonight, what we want to tell you is just generally what we want to do, which is hang on that money, let us come back with a plan, and then we can talk about, would you like to be part of the regional plan, and if so, how much would you like to contribute, and how? And I can tell you, I've already heard people come to my office, they've called me, they've emailed me, they've run into me in various places telling me that they have talents, whether that's to help with the vocational, whether that's if we need to remodel the facility up in Roan Mountain, that they can do that, or people that have told me they've been involved in nonprofits and in facilities and rehabilitation programs. And there's a lot of people that want to come forward and contribute. Just like when we had the branch house on a smaller scale. We took a building that somebody provided to us for free. Sullivan counties came together and we started getting programs, grants, contributions, all along, big and small, from all different sectors. And we were able to create that program, and I think it's been successful. But think about it even on a larger scale. If we can get this facility, and we can get all government agencies, we can get nonprofits, we can get private contributors, corporations, and we can network. And I even talked to Diana Harshbarger, and she thinks with all the largesse, the federal government's spending, that there ought to be a place for opioid spending for East Tennessee as well. With all the money that's being spent on different programs, we can call that human infrastructure, and hopefully we can, that would be another source of money. So that's what we're looking at. So for right now, we're just asking you, hang on to the money, let us come back to you. And with that, I'm going to let Judge Goodwin, who's been on the real ground floor of basically getting the right kind of people into his program, he can tell you more about that. And he's toured the facility that we're talking about.
Thank you, General. Judge Goodwin.
Thank you all. I'm going to step back a little bit. I think my umpiring days, I may overpower that a little bit. Thank you all for letting me come and speak to you for just a minute. I want to reiterate what General Staubus said. I'm not going to repeat everything that he said, because I'm not going to waste your time. I want to reiterate the fact that this money has come to the county through the Baby Doe lawsuit. And the purpose of the Baby Doe lawsuit was to hold the drug companies accountable for the lies that they told our citizenry about the effect of the drugs that they peddled legally to our citizens. And that money, it's not taxpayer money. And we have an opportunity, actually we have an obligation, to use that money to fight the very thing that caused Baby Doe to be born addicted to drugs. And what we're really wanting to do, and I'm going to tell you about some recent developments that happened just within the last couple of days. But what we're wanting to do is take my recovery court for the second district, the recovery court that Judge Street and Judge Rice administer in the first district, and the new recovery court that is just being implemented in the third district. So we're wanting a regional inpatient facility that will be administered through the recovery courts of the three districts. So that's going to serve the citizenry from Morristown to Mountain City. And what we want is to have a place where we can send those folks, change their, I'm going to steal from Judge Dwayne Sloan down in the, you got to change their playmates and their playgrounds to have any real effect at treatment. And an inpatient treatment does that. And there's a certain population of people in the recovery court that if they don't have that inpatient component, they will not be successful. That's just period, end of story, it's the way it is. I've talked to you all about my recovery court in the past, and I'm not going to go through all the nuts and bolts, but I am going to stand here and tell you that I know for a fact that if you have inpatient component to your recovery court, you will be more successful at changing these people's lives. Because when I first started my recovery court, I was fortunate enough to have John R. Hay House down in Kingsport, and everyone who came into my recovery court went from the jail to the John R. Hay House. They lived there, they got treatment there, they got not really vocational training, but they got help in trying to find a job, and it made a huge difference. When the Hay House closed in 2019, I saw a huge struggle with the people I was bringing in my recovery court because we didn't have that component. And it's critical that we use this money to help the recovery courts change these people's lives. Because it costs about 50% less. That's not true. 50% less. So if it costs somewhere between $75 and $100 a day to hold somebody in the county jail. It costs between $35 and $50 a day to get someone inpatient treatment when they're living. Okay? So there's a savings right off the bat to get them out of the jail and into treatment. But what compounds is the fact that if you can get them off the drugs, you can get them to be a productive citizen, then they don't come back to the jail. And now they're paying taxes, they're supporting their family, themselves and their families. Now you've made a difference. And I've seen it happen over and over in the recovery. Let me give you sort of an update on where we are. Judge Street, Judge Rice, and I had a Zoom conference. Seems like that's the only thing you can do nowadays, are Zoom meetings, with the Commissioner of the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, Marie Williams. And what we want is to try to get the Roan Mountain Work Camp from the TDOC transferred laterally, if possible, to the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, and then let us basically rent that building facility from them. You would not be surprised. Everybody else would be surprised just at how much red tape and manure, for a better lack of words, that you have to wade through to try to get anything from to deal with the state. You know that. Commissioner Williams is on board. She has already put an action plan to go talk to Brandon Gibson, who is a key advisor to Governor Lee, to see how to get that, if that can happen, that transfer, and to see how to make that happen. Because if we can get a facility without having to go out and buy a building, then this money that we're asking you to hold in reserve goes a lot farther towards treatment if you don't have to buy the building, okay? So that's what we're trying to do. Got an email from Judge Boniface, who is in 3rd District. She's the one putting the recovery board together down there. I don't know if she was going to go meet with Morristown or with Hamilton County's commission tonight, or if she's going to wait until December or January. But she is absolutely excited about being involved in the collaboration to try to get this to work. So that's where we are. We don't have, I can't set down a policy and procedure manual in front of you right now to say this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it with the nuts and the bolts. I can't tell you we need this many people to staff it, it's going to cost this much money to staff it, because we don't know. You got to start with the facility before you know what you can do. The facility in Roanoke Mountain is 185 beds. It is not a, I don't know how to say this, it's not jail cells, like you would go over to the county jail. It's a domiciliary. So you've already got the cots, the areas where they sleep, the bathrooms, there's a kitchen facility, a laundry facility, there's a softball, baseball field, walking track. So it would be the ideal place, because it wouldn't have to go in and be totally remodeled. When we were there, they were just moving, this was back in July or August, they were just moving the 44 inmates who lived there back to Mountain City. So it was in pristine condition. You would not have to do a lot, I don't think, to get it up and running. So that's where we are. If we can't get that building, we're still looking for other possibilities within the region. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Is this still Mountain City Annex?
It is. Well, yeah, it's the Mountain City Annex. It's in Roanoke Mountain. I think sometimes they call it Roanoke Mountain Work Camp. My dad used to call it the Roanoke Mountain Walk Away. I mean, they had some people.
Judge?
Yes.
These people would be court ordered to be there?
Yes.
Wouldn't be voluntary?
No.
Okay.
They would be court ordered to be there. I want to bring this up because this is important. Unlike grant funding that we get from the federal government to run our recovery courts, this money comes with no strings attached. Unless you as the governing body who says, we're going to give you this much money and this is what we want you to do. What that means is that we're going to, Judge Street, Judge Rice and I have talked about this, and what we want to do is have this to be an abstinent-based program. We don't want to have Suboxone, methadone involved in our treatment plan. We don't want to substitute one addiction for another. Now, I've been told in the past that Suboxone, buprenorphine is what it is. Suboxone's the brand name. But I've been told by doctors before that that you can't divert it, which means it doesn't have any value on the street, so you can't sell it, and that you can't abuse it because of the way it works. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not a medical professional, that those are both lies. Because buprenorphine has street value, and it wouldn't have street value. You wouldn't be able to sell it on the street if you couldn't get high from it. I'm telling you, they figured out a way to get high off of this Suboxone strips. So we don't want that in the program. And because this money wouldn't have the federal strings attached, we wouldn't be required to consider that. Now, I will tell you there is one medically assisted treatment that works, and that's called Vivitrol. But what Vivitrol is a monthly shot. They shoot it in your hip and it lasts for a month, and if you take an opiate, you get sick. So that's how you know that people have taken it, because they take, and I'm telling you, if they've taken it and it's not out of their system, and you give them the shot, it's even worse. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Judge, if hypothetically tomorrow, if this program was initiated, we had the property and everything, What would be the relief on just Sullivan County's jail population? Can you estimate anything there?
I don't want to guess, so I'm not going to say, obviously it's going to be a regional effort. And obviously we're going to, I don't think there's any way you would have to say that I'm an idiot if I stood here and said on day one, we're going to have 180 people up there. That's not going to happen. It's going to have to come in phases. I can't tell you the immediate impact, but I can tell you that long-term, there will be a substantial impact.
Well, with the number of, that you could house in the facility, how long would how long would you be able to use that facility before you have to expand? You estimate
For the whole
that?
region,
Well, yeah.
I think 180 beds is going to do us well for a while. I think that would be sufficient for a while.
Any other questions for Judge?
Yes, sir.
Is it gonna be any kind of shared expense? You know, what's the
I-
money's?
I think that's what we were talking about, between the judges, is having, we've got the juvenile facility in Johnson City, and the region supports that, and there's a commission, that the communities who use that facility, there's a commission, they have representation, and then they can decide sort of the funding and the different things like that. And I think that's sort of the approach that we want to use for this. So at least as far as the funding and the facility and all that goes, I think we're going to try to put together a commission. And as far as running the program, there's a Davidson County Drug Court, Judge Seth Norman, who's now retired, but he still has his hand in the recovery court, founded. And it is an inpatient recovery program, like what we want to do. And we've got their policy manuals, and we've got their blueprint, and so we're not having to start from scratch. Anything else?
One question.
Yes.
When you talk about it being abstinence-based,
Yes.
and I know that there are funds from organizations like Ballard that can go into programs like this, but they are also held to, I know medicine has to come into effect. By being abstinence-based, will you be not eligible for places like Ballard to help with the funding of this? Will that remove them?
I don't think it would remove them. I think they have to be willing to come to the table, and operate within our guidelines. See, the thing is, we're 100% behind Vivitrol, and I've been using Vivitrol in my court for a couple of years now, with great success. So they can't say, well, Judge, you're not using medical assisted treatment, because I do.
Yeah.
It's just that I decide which medicines.
So there's a possibility that because of what their standards are and what they have to have attached to their funds, that their funds could not support this program.
They would have to actually say, we're not willing to work with you for that to be the case.
Have you all had those conversations? I mean, is
No,
Ballard at the table
we're not
yet
to
or
that point.
not?
We're not to that point. We know that both Ballard and ETSU have expressed interest. I would not be surprised if you get a presentation from Ballard and or ETSU once they figure out that the checks have been deposited. Would not be surprised for that to happen. I use, and Judge Street and Judge Rice use Families Free for our treatment, and has really good success.
I understand that. I was just trying to,
Right.
when
No,
you answered Doug's question about this is something that is going to take ongoing
funding. Right.
ongoing funding for the taxpayers to keep this program from now on. I just want to know, I know there are players that have money, but they have requirements because of how they're federally funded and different things.
Right.
And if we're removing that from this, and we're losing
Potential
dollars, and then that's, again, anytime you say you're going to come back to us with a project like this, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm not opposed. However, I always question
what the recurring funding is.
what the
gonna be.
recurring
Sure.
funding to our taxpayers is going to be. If we invest this initial money and it goes in 2 years, and it's a great program, but do we, how much can we raise taxes to support it?
Right. I
And that's my, and if we have other organizations that have money but are not able to participate, that's my concern. But it's
Yeah,
not,
we-
I'm for.
Believe me, we want this program to succeed.
We all want the program to
Right.
succeed.
But-
There's no doubt in that, but again, it's, you know, every program, I mean, how much money can you throw towards, how much taxpayer money can you spend for the outcomes? I want it to
And
succeed.
I think the important thing is that when you're talking about that person, back to what I first said, when you talk about the differential between that person being in custody in jail and in a treatment program, and the benefits of that treatment program, that's when we start talking about where do we put the tax dollars when it comes time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stanley?
That was what I was gonna say, Judge Goodwin. I appreciate you and all the hard work that, General Starbus has done on this. I had spoke briefly a few years ago with General, about this. And it's a lot cheaper, I think, for us to have people that are in a place of where we can address the underlying issue. We can build as many jails, as big as jails as we want to, and we'll always fill them up.
Yeah.
Same thing with the homeless situation. You know, you can build as many homeless shelters that you want, well, you're gonna fill them up. Until we start addressing the underlying issue here, which is usually the mental health or the drug addiction. And usually one works with the other a lot of times. And I applaud you all for, doing what all you have done on this.
And another thing, Commissioner George, I want to talk just for a second. The one thing we have also been talking about is, because it's such a large facility, is that not only do we want to be able to treat the addiction, we want to be able to treat the underlying things that have caused the addiction. And we have good relationships with Ballad, with ETSU, and with Frontier Health. And each of those organizations can bring to the table, outside of drug treatment, okay? They can bring to the table medical treatment, mental health treatment, because Frontier Health, that's their bailiwick, is mental health. Obviously, ETSU and Ballad can bring both physical treatment, medical treatment, those kind of things, so.
I just want to be sure that we have, I just want to be sure that all the players that can participate and are willing to participate financially.
We've got people on the list. Commissioner Stanley, were you finished?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, it would cut down on the recidivism and stuff too that goes through our, jails and courts here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think from what, in discussion with Judge Goodwin and, Mr. Stallbus, is what they're wanting to, and I think, let me say this, Carter County has already went on record of using their opiate money to be used towards the facility. And as discussions have been about doing a regional facility, that's extremely important. And so I think we as commissioners need to take some form of action as time goes on to making a commitment that we're willing to take the opiate lawsuit funds, baby doe funds, and commit that into a regional approach. I'm all for that. Second of all, the facilities, talking about being with Ballad Health or Frontier Health, there possibly could be that they could team up with this project and it become a licensed facility. A licensed facility means that if a person has insurance or for rehabilitation, there could be funds there. So I look at it being a major project. It's gonna take a while to put all this together. But I think as the legislative body, the county commission, with those funds sitting in the bank, it would be great for us to come to consensus of what we would like to to do with those funds, and I think that's what you all are asking. Should you all continue to work in this direction as a regional facility?
Right. We're asking this body to hold those funds for the purpose of trying to get a regional drug treatment facility operation.
And I think if we make that decision, whether we do it by a voice vote or a motion on the floor or by a resolution, that will give the judges and the region to know that Sullivan County's in. And then when the plan comes and it's been formulated how it's gonna work, then it kind of gives you all the thumbs up from us to move forward into your work. And I think that's what they're trying to add. So however we need to handle that, I'll be more than glad to support that.
I believe General Stollis sent us a copy of the Carter County resolution this afternoon, so we'll have that to share with the commission, which just got done this afternoon. Okay, any other questions for Judge Goodwin? Judge Goodwin, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And thank you, and General Stollis. Let me editorialize this a little bit. This is a once in a lifetime. I'm not going to talk long, Barry. Go ahead and stand up. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity that we have to address the major problem in Northeast Tennessee and Sullivan County in particular. We're getting ready to build a new jail, and if we're successful in this, General, if we're successful in this effort, there won't be a revolving door there. We won't, in 25 years, we won't be building a new jail. We'll be treating people. So, and as I understand it, there is additional drug money coming from other suits.
True, I think you're considering one tonight, the Tennessee plan, I believe. There's Herb Slattery, the Attorney General's got, he's formulating a settlement. We're also looking to settlements toward the bankruptcies from Purdue and Mount Crop, which won't be a great amount of money, but there'll be more monies coming. And
we appreciate you being here tonight, appreciate the work, because we wouldn't be here without the work of you two gentlemen, so thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay, next up, I would like to go on the proclamation of recognitions. I'd like to invite Amber Torvik to the well, please. And I believe she has a guest here she would like to recognize tonight for exemplary service.
Thank you all. I would like to recognize Mr. Jeff Begley for his service on our Sullivan County Board of Zoning Appeals. I finally got him here. So Jeff, will you join me, please? Again, it's one of those necessary boards that we are very thankful for your time and service and leadership. You served as our chair, and from 2016 to 2021, thank you so much for coming and keeping us going, and I appreciate you really much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you, Jeff. And you just get a small break before you get to come back.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you. We have another couple of people that we want to recognize tonight who are special people to Bluntville and Sullivan County. And if I could at this time ask Ed and Myrna Bush to come forward. Would you all come up and join me in the well? We've got a little tight place to get through there yet. These folks are not accustomed to being out front. They don't require a lot of credit. They just work hard. And thank you for coming here tonight. I have a proclamation that I'd like to read if we can stand and listen to it just a little bit more. Proclamation of Appreciation and Preservation Award to Mr. and Mrs. Bush. Whereas Ed and Myrna Bush have been outstanding residents in the Pendleton Historic District for several years. And whereas Ed and Myrna are active supporters of and volunteers with the Sullivan County Historic Preservation Association. Whereas Ed and Myrna reside within the local historic district at don't know if I'll give you a address or not, but 3389 Highway 126 on Great Stage Road, which was built in 1795 and historically known as the Snaps Fane Taylor Foley House. And whereas this historic home and cottage were restored in 2000 by the Fane heirs, Edward and Jane Foley, and was the first property to obtain a certificate of appropriateness for the Sullivan County Historic Zoning District for adhering to the U.S. Department of Interior guidelines for historic preservation. Whereas the Snaps Fane Taylor Foley House and Cottage area are fine examples of early folk Victorian vernacular architecture. Mouthful. And its historic hand-sewn and huge log structure and wood clapboard veneers that has been preserved and maintained for over 226 years. Whereas the Snaps Fane Taylor Foley House and Cottage are part of the Blountville Historic District, which is classified by the state archaeologists to have the largest concentration of 18th century buildings in the state of Tennessee that are preserved. And whereas Ed and Myra dedication to an investment in the historic district through their efforts in preservation and beautification of not only their private residence, but also their work at the Deer Inn, the Rutledge House, the Heritage Gardens, Quarters, and Anderson House, Townhouse, have greatly added to the enjoyment of the historic district for tourists and residents alike. And whereas Ed and Myrna, through their passion for preservation, gardening, and public education on local and Tennessee history, have made outstanding contributions to the historic district, which have been an inspiration to others. Now therefore, I, Richard Begley, Mayor of Sullivan County, and the Sullivan County Commission, upon recommendations from the Sullivan County Historic Zoning Commission and district landowners, take pleasure in presenting this proclamation of appreciation and preservation award to Edward, Meredith, and urge all citizens to follow their example. Congratulations, and Ed, Meredith, we give you an opportunity to address this group if you'd like to, and I personally want to thank you for all the hard work both of you do. Ed, Mike,
Not much to say. Murray's behind a lot of the work. You can see my back, it's pretty bad. But we have a lot of fun. We really enjoy the historic district. We were extremely fortunate in getting a home from the Foleys. They did a tremendous job in the restoration. Some of the fun things in the historic district that Myrna said be short. The mayor said I could have 15, 20 minutes, so I'll take that. But the Deer Inn is a wonderful place if you haven't been in a while. In the last 5 years, we've opened all 7 buildings in the back, 2 historic kitchens, 1810, 1820. The law office, which is really now an 1840s school because people like schools more than they do lawyers. The King Irons Work cabin is tremendous. In the Anderson Townhouse, the mayor was lucky to be able to use that. In the last 15 months, we developed the Ralph Blizzard Museum. And Ralph is a long-time, old-time longbow fitter from Plumville, winner of the National Arts Award up there with Ralph Stanley, B.B. King. If you haven't been, give us a call. We try and be open whenever we can. Our Facebook page, we had 1,400 hits this weekend because they rebroadcast the show on Ralph. Tremendous. We have some cameras. We hope to get hooked up at some point to the county system to do live streaming when the guys from Panama start jamming again, so we can be worldwide. So we really enjoy the historic district. Really appreciate your support for the historic structures. They're old, and like me, the older I get, the more work I need. So we appreciate everything, Mayor and Amber, and really do appreciate your support.
thank you. You do a great job.
I just want to add, this recognition was actually from the landowners in the district. So every few years, we send out a letter to everyone in the Blumpville area, and they nominate a landowner. So this is actually like the People's Choice Awards, if you could say that. And so we do one for historic preservation and one for beautification. And so this home and the current guardians of the stewards of the home are being recognized by the landowners and then recommended to you from the historic zone. So that's how that process works.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you. I will add that Ed is invited to county commission at any time we want to arrange a visit. If we'd like to come up early one day, maybe 5 o'clock, he has an open, we have an open invitation for the commission to be entertained, and I think you'll be amazed at the work that they've done in the Wright Blizzard Museum, all the artifacts they have there. And this is a man that's more famous outside his home than he is in his home sometimes. So. And as part of what Amber was talking about, the community participation in these awards, I have one other proclamation of appreciation, and it's the Beautification Award for Blumpville. And if Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Morrison would.
They could not be here. They actually said they're just doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so if you don't mind to read it.
I'll be happy to.
And then I'll hand deliver it to them.
Very good. I'll pass this on to you. Whereas Daniel and Catherine Morrison have made their headquarters for their Pizza Plus business within the heart of the Battle of Blumpville Conservation Business District for over 16 years. And whereas Daniel and Catherine have continued to beautify their office and headquarters property through impeccable landscaping and exterior maintenance, which has served as a lovely gateway to the heart of Blumpville. And whereas Daniel and Catherine have invested in over 9 properties throughout Sullivan County, 2 of which are located within the heart of Blumpville, serving as their headquarters and the restaurant, providing skilled jobs at all 8 locations. And whereas the Morrison family has made outstanding contributions to the historic district, which has been an inspiration to others. Now therefore I, Richard Venable, Mayor of Sullivan County, and the Sullivan County Board of Commissioners, upon recommendation from the Sullivan County Historic Zoning Commission and district landowners, take great pleasure in presenting this proclamation of appreciation and beautification award to Daniel and Catherine Morrison, and urge all citizens to follow their fine example. So Amber, if you would deliver this to them with our great appreciation, I'll appreciate it. Thank you.
They were out of town tonight and said, well, can we do it next month? So thank you so much.
They don't seek recognition, they just do the job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next up on our agenda is confirmations and appointments, and as I notified you last commission meeting, there is an appointment coming up for the Bristol Bluff City Utility District in Sullivan County, Tennessee. And as you know, the mayor of the county, appoints members of the utility board, so I'm notifying you that whereas the Bristol Bluff City Utility District Board of Commissioners does hereby certify to Sullivan County Mayor Richard Venable, pursuant to TCA 7-82-0C, that a vacancy has occurred upon said utility board by virtue of the expiration of term. And whereas the Bristol Bluff City Utility District Board of Commissioners further certifies that Jerry Buchanan, the nominee, is qualified, willing to serve, to continue to serve on the board and fill said vacancy. Now therefore be it ordered, judged, and decreed by Sullivan County Mayor pursuant to TCA 782-07 that Jerry Buchanan is appointed to serve on the Bristol Bluff City Utility District Board of Commissioners as per the term of their bylaws. and I will file that with the clerk. And remind you once again that as these utility board appointments are asked to be filled by the various, one of 6 utilities in Sullivan County, I will bring those nominations to you prior to the month that I appoint that member. That way, if you've had dealings with or issues with a utility board, you will have that great opportunity to talk with them with the ability to require and ask that they solve any issues that come before you. And next up is the Sullivan County Board of Zoning Appeals, Pendleton, Tennessee. And this is a nomination that must be ratified by the County Commission. Whereas the Sullivan County Board of Zoning Appeals does hereby certify that the Sullivan County Board of Commissioners, pursuant to TCA 13-7-106, as duly adopted by Sullivan County, Tennessee, that a vacancy has occurred upon said Board of Zoning Appeals by virtue of the resignation of Mr. Darrell Chambers. And whereas the Sullivan County Board of Zoning Appeals further certifies that nominee Jay Baldorf, Bluff City, Tennessee, is qualified and willing to serve on the Sullivan County Board of Zoning Appeals. Now therefore, be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the Sullivan County Board of Commissioners and their authority to appoint members to said Board of Zoning Appeals pursuant to TCA 13-7-106, that nominee Jay Baldorf be appointed to serve the remainder of the current term, the remainder of term to July 2023. That comes to you as a recommendation, so when it comes up on the board, please cast your vote to ratify the nomination of Mr. Baldorf to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Board is open, please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, would you take the vote? Anyone want to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
20 yes, 1 abstain, 3 absent.
Having received the necessary majority, Mr. Jay Baldorf is appointed to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Jay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate your willingness to serve the citizens of Sullivan County. I want to make one announcement that we go through the evening here. As you all know, and I want to give you a little update. I talked with Commissioner Judy Blaylock, and those of you that don't know, Judy had a fall and broke her leg. A very serious, I believe, femur break. And Judy doesn't feel like she's going to be mobile enough in the next few months to be able to participate. But her seat will be here, obviously. And she will complete her term. She's just going to be absent for a while. And as most of you have kept up with Commissioner Terry Harker, Terry has been battling health problems here and at NHC and at Vanderbilt in Nashville. And so Terry won't probably have as extended absence as Judy, and will be back as soon as he possibly can. But it presents a bit of a problem to the county commission in that both of those members are members of the executive committee. And the executive committee, just having 6 members, would find it very difficult to operate sometime, with, even to get a quorum. And our chairman, Ms. George, has asked me to see if we could work out something, Vice Chairman Cole. The only thing I've come up with, and I believe this is well within the purview of the commission to conduct its own business, is that I would like to ask if any members of the administrative committee or the budget committee would like to volunteer to fill in for those 2 members for a couple months. And I'll clear this with Dan. He's not here tonight, and he was incommunicado today, so I couldn't get him. But if anybody would like to pull double duty, I think that's allowable, because our bylaws say we have 8 members. It doesn't say that you cannot serve on 2 boards. Mr. Vance and Ms. Crosswhite.
That's Mr. Vance and Ms. Crosswhite.
Yeah. let me, Commissioner Stanley's asked to be recognized, so Commissioner Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. Can you serve on the executive and administrative? Is that okay if you did both, or would you have to?
I'm an ex officio member and wouldn't be able to be used to get a quorum. So, so I obviously I'd be happy to show up, but the way things are going with COVID and everything, sometimes it's hard to get six members here. So if you will, we won't do it right now, but I'll ask, we will take a break sometime during the resolution agenda, and if you will let Angela know, and if we have more than 2 people volunteer, we'll put the names in a hat, draw them out, and do it that way. Is that okay with everybody? And if Dan wants to correct us next month, he can. I'd rather beg his permission, or beg his forgiveness, but I can't ask his permission tonight, so we will go on with that. Okay, next up, you've had the minutes spread on your desk and electronically available, and I hope you've had an opportunity to review them. We have a motion by Crawford to accept as filed, second by Gardner. Any discussion, corrections, or additions? Seeing none, I believe we've got that actually loaded on the board, so when the board opens, cast your vote on the motion to approve the minutes. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
21 yes, 3 absent.
There received necessary majority, the minutes are adopted as published. Next up is the approval of Notary Publix. Clerk will read the list and then we'll have a vote. If you object, you'll have a chance at the end of the list to object to any appointment. We'll take it individually. So when the clerk is ready, please lead the rest of the list of applicants for Notary Public.
Ronald Truman Allgood, Paul Marcus Arrowwood, Kathy Bell, Jessica Burris, Robert L. Black Jr., John C. Bowles, Skylar Page Buchanan, Darlene Calton, Lisa D. Cook, Vicki Elaine Cooper Trammell, Matthew Cruz, Diana D. Davidson, Samantha A. Dishner, Sherry L. Eaton, Sarah J. Ernst, Jeffrey S. Foster, April L. Frost, Jennifer L. Gasperson, Daniel Ison Hall, Craig Hoggaboon, Ashley Horton, Jessica A. Jones, Jennifer L. Kincaid, Tara Lynn Leonard, Laura Elizabeth Matera, Kelly M. Monk, Dawn Blair Moore, Julie R. Neely, Rita Newell, Angela Street Pena, Aslan Gwen Perry, Carrie Lee Plank, Roger Allen Poe, Edna J. Quillen, Lauren Reed, Joshua Adam Reedy, Brian Jonathan Wright, Cynthia M. Smith, Tracy Paulette Starnes, Courtney Ann Stone, Adriana Sweeney, Stevenson Todd, Stephen D. Watkins.
You've heard the list. Are there any objection to any of the names of the applicants?
Motion to approve.
The motion to approve by Commissioner Cole, second by Commissioner Crawford. Any discussion? Mark, I can hear you now.
He's got new hearing aids. You better be careful.
I have new hearing aids, and unfortunately, I can hear Mark from his desk without the microphone on. No, I couldn't.
You'd have said more, wouldn't you?
I just thought you were saying good things about me all these years. Okay, let's get a little order back here. The board's open. Let's vote on the motion to approve. I didn't say I was going to pay any attention to you. I said I can hear you. Everybody voted. Ms. Calvin has passed, and she's on the list. Anyone want to change their vote? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, take a vote.
20 yes, 1 abstain, 3 absent.
Have received the necessary majority. The list is approved as presented. Next up, we will adjourn for our public comment section. As customary, we remind our guests that I have one market rezoning that we make to Ms. Watson, and the other two are marked for general comment, and thank you for doing that. We welcome you here, and we generally allow 3 minutes for comments, and if there are questions, the commissioner obviously will go longer, but stay as close to 3 as you can, and if you see a little circle, that means wrap it up in you about 5 minutes, because I don't do that until you get about 5 minutes. So first up, Jeffrey Salyers. Mr. Salyers, if you will give us your name and address for the record, our electronic record, you're recognized, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jeffrey Salyers. I live at 215 Reedy Creek Road. I live on what is called the Vineyard Farm. And I'm here to speak to you tonight on a couple of issues that we have living on that farm. That is a growing community of people. There's houses being built, families moving in, myself, my neighbors, and so forth. As I went along and looked, and when I bought my home and got it there, I started looking for reasons for us to be there and things that we could use there, infrastructure and so forth. The water's there, and I thank the city of Bristol for allowing that to happen. The one biggest issue we have is there's no internet service there. Okay? Across the road from me there's a gentleman who has a house there. He also has a farmhouse just right down the road from him that he also owns. Right at the corner of that property is a Spectrum junction box. Spectrum will not cross Reedy Creek Road to come to us, and they will not come to the gentleman's house that is the property that it sits on without a substantial amount of money. I'm about 600 feet off the road, so they're wanting to charge me $9,000. Is there anybody in this room that would pay $9,000 to have internet to your house and then end up paying a monthly service fee? I beg to differ, no. There is not one person that would pay that fee. The people that live next door that junction box is on, they want to charge them $3,000. And they're less than 200 feet off the road. It is not, folks, it is ridiculous to what Spectrum is trying to hold people in this county over. They're trying to do this and just make you, that's why I said, look guys, I'll do the labor. I'll bury the line, I'll do everything it has to do to get the line to my house. What can you do for me? $9,000. I said, so you mean tell me 600 feet of cable is $9,000? Absolutely not, I know better than that. I was born at night, but it was not last night. And I can promise you that. You're going to hear other folks come up here from this community. That is our biggest need. We can't get cameras on our property because we're on hot spots, and cameras don't work on hot spots. They might, but they would be spotty at best. We have been given hot spots from the county to help us because I work from home. There's other people that work from home that live there. They have children that have to go to school there. If we were ever go back to virtual school, they have to go to their grandmother's house down the road to get internet to go to school. That is sad in this century that we live in, that kids have to transport to go to be and cannot even have internet service to go to school. I mean, that's pretty sad. I think it's pretty sad that we got to be in virtual school anyway because of the world we live in, but that's a sad situation anyway. One of the other situations we have, and I know every one of you's been up and down 11W, going one or the other direction, going to Kingsport or coming to Bristol. Guys, if you ever try to turn in on Hooker Road, you better hope that there ain't nobody coming, because you will get run over. We have to start turning our signal lights on almost as soon as we pass through that red light with the junction of 394. And if you're coming from the Pinnacle back to Kingsport, you better turn that thing on at the Pinnacle and let everybody know that you're going to turn. Because if you don't, you're going to get run over. Last night, I turned in down there and like to got run off in the ditch just to get out of the road to keep from getting run over. And with the families that's going to be moving in there, there's going to even be more traffic. I mean, we're just a turn lane on that side, a turn lane on the other side. That would make all the difference in the world for us. But the biggest difference is, guys, help us out with internet, please. We know you get the funding, and we know it's there. We gotta have it. We gotta have it. For the security of our families, for the families that's moving in there, and for those kids that may have to go to virtual school. You never know when they change that back. But please help us out. Thank you.
And Mr. Say, I believe
Thanks, Jeff.
Mr. Vance has a
Yes, sir.
question or
I
comment.
didn't recognize your mask on.
Well, you know, it's Halloween all the time now.
Yeah, I didn't know, I didn't realize you, because you told me about that story. But did you ask AEP also? What were they going to charge you for?
AEP doesn't offer them.
They don't?
No, they do
You're
not.
only providing Spectrum.
The only other provider out there is CenturyLink, and CenturyLink just flat out come out and told me we can't support it because you'd sit there and buffer all day if you go to a Zoom meeting.
And they're wanting $9,000 just for your house?
Just my house alone, $9,000. The gentleman that just moved across the street, and I think that's Mr. Bush, and I don't know, Matt, if you remember, I can't remember what, they want to charge him $2,500, $3,000, and he's 200 or 300 feet off the road. But they're not even on Hooker Road over there. But they're at the corner of this guy's property, which is 500 feet from Hooker Road. And once you hit the Hooker Road intersection, now you can shoot all the way back out into Virginia. Spectrum don't understand that. They just, all they see is this little thing, this wad of money, oh, that's $9,000. And I asked them straight up, I said, if I give you $9,000, you gonna give me a lifetime subscription to your service? Oh, Lord, no, that's gonna cost you $100 a month. I said, I'll never take your service. If you're gonna charge me $9,000 and then charge me a monthly fee to have it, I should have a lifetime paid for it, $9,000.
Okay, we have Mr. Jones, you're right.
Part of the issue we have two other providers that do electricity in Sullivan County, Bristol and Bright Ridge, and both of those are TVA providers. They're here, they both provide services, TV, internet, electricity,
Yes, sir.
phone, and we have a real problem in the north side of the county, because that's out of Columbus, Ohio. They could care less what goes on down here. And in my opinion, I got right on the edge of the Bright Ridge, and I'm so thankful for that. But it's private enterprise. We have I don't know if we could do anything with them or not. And I wish we could, but we have no control over private businesses. You know, it's sad. I know people are going to the libraries and sitting outside the library for children to get service to do their homework last year. And, you know, I hate that hotspot don't work for you.
Well, don't get me wrong, sir, the hotspot does work. It works as far as internet goes for us to be able to work from home. But if we want any other service, we have no other service to be provided to us. If we want to watch TV, all we get is direct TV or Dish. In my lands, don't ask Dish or direct TV for sports programming if you like college football or something like that. My land, your package be well over $100 and some a month.
There are other.
And then if you have internet service, you can get the streaming apps like one of them's called Hulu. Hulu is a great thing. You can get live TV and so forth. And I'm not trying to push Hulu on anybody. I'm just saying I've used Hulu and I know how it works. But it has to have an internet Wi-Fi connection to work. It will not work off of a mobile device. I can get Hulu on my phone, yes, but as a mobile device running that service, they don't allow it. You have to have Wi-Fi to run that service.
Mr. Ayer, thank you, and I guess I would mention at this time that in their infinite wisdom, many years ago, the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee took away the franchisability of local counties, and that resides in Nashville now. And not remember that when we talk about other issues later tonight, but the governor has, through his economic development funds, dedicated, I believe, $5 million to broadband service. And some of our American Rescue Plan money is probably available for that, but we can't get in the business without those providers. And we can't use that to pay for extension of their private line. So, but be aware we will take your concerns to our legislative delegation, and I would encourage you to do so also. They're very effective delegations, and this is all over the state of Tennessee. So thank you for coming up here tonight. I wish we had a solution to your problem here in Sullivan. Next up, we have Matthew Pendleton. Mr. Pendleton, welcome, and if you'll give us your name and address.
Yes, sir. My name is Matthew Pendleton. My address is 238 Hooker Road, also in Bluffton, Tennessee. I won't take up a lot of your time.
Welcome
Go ahead, sir. What were you saying?
Welcome. I was going to say, welcome back.
Thank you very much. About a year ago, we were talking about Hooker Road. I think almost maybe a year ago today. No, so I just wanted to echo Jeff. I mean, I think our major concerns are obviously internet, but I think you just addressed that. You know, I mean, we were talking to Todd a little bit earlier, and hopefully whenever we do get some funding, we can use it. You know, over the last year since I talked to you, I mean, we've had 5 families already build their houses, and they're living there. 2 of which do have, my family included in those 2, have young children that are going to school. I mean, we need internet. Obviously, you know, I've been accustomed to having it all my whole life. Now I'm kind of like, whoa, we don't have internet. And again, we're thankful for the hotspots. The hotspots do work, but we'd like to see that work. And you know, moving even to the second point Jeff made, I mean, guys, you guys have all been on 11W. And 55 miles an hour, maybe the speed limit. I mean, we know just was it 75, 70 miles an hour going up and down that place. You know, my wife, my 2 kids are in the car. I mean, guys, we got to have a turn lane going to that. I mean, does everybody know where Hooker Road's at in Sullivan County? I mean, guys, I'm having to turn my turn signal on a mile ahead. I'm having to slow down to 35 miles an hour for 400, 500 feet. I mean, and we're not just talking SUVs behind us. We got 18-wheelers. I mean, a nightmare scenario. I mean, my wife driving down the road, obviously you can see where I'm going with this with my 2 children in the car. I mean, I think that's things that we would love for you guys to think about. And as our community grows, we'll have 2 more houses next year built. You know, we talked about development that I would imagine in the next 5 years is going to happen. I mean, when we get funding for internet, we'd love to be first on your list or in the top 2 or 3 list of areas where we can say, hey, we want to help the Hooker and Reedy Creek community out. Because what's crazy is, from my house to where Jeff was talking about, 500 feet max to where the spectrum ends. And if you go the other side of Hooker Road, it's 700 feet. I mean, guys, we're talking, I mean, quick math here. I mean, 1,000 yards from spectrum to spectrum where it ends. I mean, we don't need them to fill that much of a void here. So I appreciate you guys, and just keep this in mind as we're getting funded and looking to move funding around. So,
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us. I believe the last person on here is on for a zoning issue. So I will ask at this time, does anybody want to address the commission on whatever we will close the public comment section of our agenda and move on to the next item, which is amendment to our zoning plan. So we'll recess and recognize Ms. Amber Torrey. And a couple of applications for rezoning. Amber, you're recognized.
Should we do resolution number 1? Did we already do resolution?
We do, and I have to be reminded that every time.
That's okay, thank you.
Mr. Gardner, Mr. Calvin, move adoption of the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. So if you'll turn in your zoning packet with me, please. I have 2 rezoning requests from property owners, and they both appeared before the Sullivan County Regional Planning Commission. The first one is from Daniel and April Heaton, and their request is to rezone their property from A1 to R1. This is located in the Allison Hills subdivision, Phase 1. It's in Sullivan County's planned growth area in Jones City Public Water. The purpose of their rezoning request is simply just to be able to subdivide it in half, basically, and to achieve smaller lots. The A1 is a minimum of 1 acre lot size, and R1 is basically half acre lot size. They had purchased additional acreage years ago thinking they might just need extra backyard, but at this time they would like to divide it off and sell it. I've included in your packet the zoning map. I guess we're not toggling it on the screen, but that's okay. They have it in their packet. Oh, it's fine. Thank you. But real simply, I've also included some pictures of the property so you can see their additional acreage. And if you recall, a few months ago, we also rezoned, on the screen, parcel 74 was rezoned to R1 to get the smaller lot sizes. We did not have any opposition, and the Sullivan County Regional Planning Commission unanimously recommended in favor of this request.
Any questions?
How many lots?
Just an additional lot. Basically, the proposed plat is in your packet, and you'll see they're going to keep 0.917 of an acre for their existing dwelling, and the half acre, a little bit more than a half acre actually, will be the proposed lot 2 if the rezoning occurs. So, large enough to support another dwelling.
Okay.
Any other questions for anyone? Vote on this. Constituting positive manner, so motion to adopt or to approve. And when the board opens on application number 1, please cast your vote. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Now clerk take the vote.
21 yes, 3 absent.
Have received the necessary majority. Case number 1 is approved. Ms. Corbett, you're recognized on case number 2.
Okay, thank you. This request, if you'll flip through, is from Mr. and Mrs. Watson, Clyde Watson. They they own property at 2935 Highway 126, just up the road from us. And their request is to rezone the property from B4 to R1. And the purpose of the request is so they can set a modular home on the property. If you, it was zoned B4 actually in the beginning, back in 1988. I checked the records. As you know, on Highway 126, we have a wide assortment of zoning depending on where it's at and what the needs are. And so, but on either side of their property is residential, and so this will be in keeping of that. And they have been cleaning it up, and they got additional space in the backyard. And so I've included all of that. It went to our planning commission last month. There was no opposition. The only phone call I got was to ensure it wasn't for a business. I said, well, it's already zoned business, but they want to zone it to residential. So we didn't have any opposition. Nobody came except for the Watsons to the meeting last month. And it comes to you favorably from our planning commission.
You've heard the explanation. Any questions for Amber? Or I believe Mr. Watson are here. Any questions? Seeing none, you've obviously done a good job. I believe we're ready to vote on case number 2. When the board up, please cast your vote on case number 2 of the planning zone. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change the vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
21 yes, 3 absent.
I received the necessary majority. Case number 2 is approved. Ms. Torbett, you have anything else for us tonight?
I do not. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back into session. Next up is resolution agenda. I believe we've had 11 filed. We may have 12 by the end of the night. So, before we get ready to run through those, I would like for you all to consider whether you want to help Chairman George and Vice Chairman Cole out on the executive committee. So let's take a little break here. Come back in about 5 till, and then see Angela and give her your name, and then we'll put